Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you had a great weekend. Hey, I want to read you a poem I read last week. It's on our blog page. It's called Contradiction. It's Where I Find Me. I hope this is encouraging to you because often we want to be one way, but we find ourselves going the other way. And sometimes when we're wrestling with the contradictions in our lives, we wonder if that disqualifies us from God. But what it really shows us is our need for God, but also that's where God does his greatest work. As Bono, the rock star, said, he said, I'm smack in the center of a contradiction, and it's the place I need to be, because that's where humility comes. That's where honesty comes, and that's where God can do his greatest work. Let me read this, what I wrote last week, to you. And again, I hope this is an encouragement to you during the week. Contradiction. It's where I find me. Success all around, but I'm tempted to flee. Strength waning, pretending to be strong, screaming out truth while living with wrong. My heart breaks, yet it's harder than stone. Surrounded with people, yet I feel so alone. Wisdom clear, but I can't see in the fog. Desperate for conversation, but I'm so busy with monologues. Contradiction, it's where I find me. My grace is free, but I charge others a fee. Focused on the next acquisition, ignoring the soul. Consumerism rages, denying my God-shaped whole. Work ethic taught, lethargy overtakes. Foundations unyielding, yet it easily shakes. I know all the answers while confusion shouts. My faith is secure, though I frequently doubt. Contradiction. It's where I find me. Beauty everywhere, though narrowly perceived. Full of creativity, too often empty. Living in scarcity, yet promised plenty. Our days long, our life short. Emotions rage, hate our sport. Wealth of opportunity, catalog of choices. The world's getting louder, muting important voices. Contradiction, it's where I find me. Obsessed with acceptance, why care if they hate me? There's chatter of courage, yet fear rules the day. Conviction is high unless there's a price to pay. Morality important, yet cramping our styles. My aim is focused, I'm missing by a mile. Souls transparent, pretending not to fake. Portraying translucent, diagnosis opaque. Contradiction, it's where I find me. Hiding pride, shouting humility. I wear brave, I bleed afraid. I run away, I should have stayed. Enticed by more, yet never enough. Sadness grows as I get more stuff. Breakneck speed, barely awake. Will I finish the race? Do I have what it takes? I wrote this partly for me, but it's also for those that I know. People of faith, you and I, oftentimes we feel if we're going to be good Christians, then we should have no doubts, no temptations, no contradictions, no questions. And at the same time, we should have an endless amount of faith and consistency oozing out of our pores. Yet that's not really possible. You know, we often forget about the life of one of the most integral Christ followers to ever live. A Christ follower who we follow his wisdom. We follow his writings. One of the most amazing Christ followers who has ever lived. And he was forthright about his contradictions. This is what he wrote. I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I do not do, but what I hate, I do. Those are words from the Apostle Paul. I mean, the Apostle Paul, smack in the center of contradictions. It's where we find him. The writer of most of the New Testament. He was tempted and discouraged. He was weak. He was strong. He was courageous. He was content. He was confused. He was sure. He was sad. He was joyful. And when we're honest about our contradictions, this is where God comes in. And this is where God can work. When we're no longer pretending. Paul didn't pretend. He was just honest. I do what I shouldn't, and the things I should do, I don't. But that is where God came in and said, Paul, it's in your weaknesses that I am strong. And that is where my grace is at work. Philip Yancey said this. He says, I have come to know a God who has a soft spot for rebels, who recruits people like the adulterer David, the whiner Jeremiah, the traitor Peter, and the human rights abuser Saul of Tarsus, who became Paul. I have come to know a God whose son made prodigals the heroes of his stories and the trophies of his mercy. This week, while you and I wrestle with the contradictions of life and in our own life, let us lean in. Let us follow Jesus. Let us lean into his grace, because it's where we find his power. God bless you. Have a great week. I hope and I pray I see you this Saturday, March 6th at the Orangeville Food Bank, where we are going to celebrate and party from 11 to 1. We're going to have a feast. We're going to eat together, do communion together. We're going to worship together, and we're going to look at the amazing work that the Orangeville Food Bank is doing during a time of food scarcity for so many people, and we as a church have been able to partner with them. So come join us from 11 to 1. You know, the New Testament times where they would do communion, remembering what Christ did, they weren't at the end of a church service with a little wafer and a little cup. No, they were feasts. They were feasts. It was food and it was wine, and they would invite the poor and the broken and the outcasts to come and remember. Well, we're going to go and join the Orangeville Food Bank on Saturday, and we're going to have a feast and remember the work and the grace of Christ, where he comes in, and in our contradictions, he makes us strong and he accepts us. Have a great week. If you want to read more of my blogs, on Tuesdays, we release them on social media, but you can go to live58.church, and all of the blogs, short stories, poems, and essays that I've written are on there. So may be encouraged, and hope to talk to you soon. Hope to see you Saturday. Bye-bye.